Welcome to Compound Insights, a podcast by CFA Society New York. I'm your host, Rob Rowan. I am extremely happy about this guest today because we normally have some pretty talented people on this podcast, but Genai Walker breaks the record for what we've had so far. Genai has reached a very high level of achievement in many, many areas. She is currently a financial advisor and financial planning specialist at Morgan Stanley. Prior to joining Morgan Stanley, she was with TD Ameritrade and Bank of America. Here's where her resume deviates from a lot of others who've been on this podcast. Before that, she was a professional basketball player. She is also a skilled student. She graduated cum laude from University of Central Arkansas and completed her master's in health science there. She also got a second master's in Spanish while playing pro basketball. So, Genai, it's a pleasure to have you here today.
Oh, thank you for having me. I love New York.
So, my first question is, what connects you to other very high-performing people, I believe, is drive. So, what drove you from a young age to earn a full scholarship, get a master's, then go back to the sport, now achieve such high things in financial services? What's at that?
I think the driving force was just looking at my surroundings where I was from. I grew up in a little small town in Arkansas where there wasn't much there. 2,500 people, cotton fields, bean fields everywhere. And I knew that if I wanted to make a difference, I had to get out. I had to leave. I have to see the world. I didn't have a lot of people around that were mentors or who I can ask how to do this. So I knew I had to figure it out on my own. So I was always driven from a young age, and sports was my driving force that pretty much catapulted everything and helped me get out for the most part.
Did you get much feedback? I'm sure you got a lot of support when you started excelling at sports, because most kids do. Mm-hmm. But how did you find the drive to apply to education after that and academia after that, and then also as an adult in the financial services world?
Well, a lot of it had to do with genetics, I think. My mom and dad are very intelligent people, and so they never let me settle. So it was never a complacent moment that we had where if I brought home a B, it wasn't like, congratulations, good job, you brought home a B. It was, why didn't you make an A? Like, what could you have done to make it A? So I always put a lot of pressure on myself as well as sports. I may have scored 30 points, but I look at the stat sheet and I'm like, well, why did I miss these free throws? Why did I miss this shot? Why did I get this foul? So I was always driven by numbers. So numbers was my driving force. I always wanted to be a higher number. So what can I do to be better the next day? And so a lot of it was very internal. So I had just that natural internal drive, but I enjoyed seeing successful people as well. And my motivation is not driven by, I guess, finance or financial gain or anything. It's more so literally winning. I'm a competitive person at nature. I mean, I want to win at everything. And so I feel like if I'm scoring the most or being the number one in my class or so forth, then that means I'm winning. And that's normally a lot of my driving force.
Fascinating. So I shared some of that fascination with numbers when I was a college athlete. I used to refer to myself as a science experiment. Mm-hmm. Is what can I do differently this time in my training that in 6 months will pop out? It's not normal for a college student to think much past about 6 hours from now.
Right.
So makes maybe your experience with college a little different from most, but when I just want to break that down. So, were you always comfortable with that level of drive? Because a lot of kids burn out from that, and you didn't, right? You kept going. So what made that work for you?
You have burnout. You do. You have burnout at various levels. You have burnout when you have a couple of games in a row where you're not performing your best, and I guess you could say you're in a rut, and then you try to figure it out because you've done the same shot, you've done the same move and over and over again, but it's not working. So what do you do? And that's just like anything in life. Eventually people figure out what you're doing. So you have to do something to change it up, to keep them guessing. And so a lot of that you have to figure out on your own. So I think I've experienced burnout in high school level and college level, professional level, and my professional level. But it's always about reinventing myself, taking the breaks as needed. I don't know, meditation, whatever you need to do, spiritual, to just pretty much regain yourself and get back focused. And then figure out, do I still love this? And with basketball and finance, it's always a yes. So I always try to tell people, do things you love and it doesn't feel like it's work. And so I can honestly say that's true with me. And so once I reinvent myself and refocus, then I'm like, okay, I still love this. So, okay, what can I do better? and let's get at it.
Okay, so this is a feedback methodology that gets more difficult as one gets older, right? So when you're in school, 4.0, right? Did I get the 4.0 or not? When you're in sports, you got a whole bunch of numbers, right? Even when you get into college, you're just competing with more people for the same sort of quantifiable number that everyone can relate to. But when you get out into the financial services world, it's a little bit more amorphous. Goals are hard to put on a scale, even though we're real darn good with numbers. It makes it kind of hard to do. So how have you tracked that sort of 4.0, 30 points thing as you work at Morgan Stanley?
I started to stop looking at it too largely, like the large big picture, I guess you could say, because I'm in competition. So yes, I'm in competition not only with other firms, I'm other women, even with my coworkers.
Yep.
But I can't get every client. So I have to make sure I understand you can't get every client. You're not going to get every yes. You're not going to get everything like you want. So try to just capitalize on what you can. And so I try to take it literally one client at a time, one situation at a time, and stop looking at it. I didn't get this and I'm going to be down on myself. So I try my best not to put too much pressure on myself at now and this point in my career, because as you get older, the pressure start mounting because you don't just have I'm just playing college basketball and that's it and going to school. I have a little bit more. You have a family, you have, bills and things like that. So you don't want to put even more stress on yourself. So you just take the wins as you can, learn from them and come back the next day.
Yeah. That's really wise. I think, one of the things that's difficult about getting into adult life is you have all those pressures, you got a mortgage, you got all those things people talk about. Then you have children, you realize, those things are recording. Well, I'm really on now. And this kind of leads me to, one of the questions that we've asked a couple of folks here in recent weeks, because we have a very major focus on leveling the playing field and DEI in CFA Society in New York's ecosystem, as well as in what we can do to contribute to it beyond in the industry. So what advice would you give to a younger Black woman who's considering financial services? Maybe she's somebody who's, pretty good at accounting or pretty good at econ, really enjoyed macroeconomics or something like that. How would you advise that person from there?
I actually had a young lady reach out to me just the other day. I always talk towards it because there's not enough Black women in this industry. It's just not enough. I go to so many different conferences and meetings on a daily, and I'm the only one in the room, which doesn't bother me because, to me, I stand out. That means you're going to notice that I'm there. Not only am I tall, but you're going to notice that I'm there, and you're also going to hear me. So because I have a voice. But because of that, we need more. So I would definitely encourage them to do it. But I would also encourage them to possibly have a mentor, possibly have someone that they can ask questions. Me, I'm an open book. I try to answer questions from young adults whenever they're wanting to know things, because I don't want them to make the same mistakes I did, or I want their path to be a little easier. It's going to be hard no matter what. But if I can make it a little easier, I'm here for it. But I always talk towards the finance industry. If you love numbers, you love finance, we need you. We need you in this industry. There's a place for you. You just have to find out where your place is. There's a lot of firms, and you just have to find where's your perfect fit.
Yeah. That's, I think, one of the difficult things is that you are relatively rare. So there are not a lot of people for them to say, hey, you know what, that person looks and sounds like me. I could do that too. That is a very powerful thing that financial services unfortunately still lacks. Do you think now's a good time to get into financial services?
Kind of like it's now a good time to invest. I guess that would be
right.
I think so. It's not going anywhere. There's always needed positions. There's always needed people to diversify, whether it's a team or whether it's a branch or anything along those lines. So now's a better time, just as better time as it was 2 years ago.
Right.
So if this is someone's calling, I would say do some research first to see where you want to start, what level, and then just jump right in and literally see what happens, because you can't predict what's going to happen, but just see what happens. Right.
No, none of us can. I surely wouldn't have predicted this for sure, or last week, or
exactly
anything before that. We make a lot of numbers up to pretend we know. We don't know. I guess one of the other things that is really interesting to me about doing these interviews with people is I've been posing a question from the membership to them. And that is, look, Genai, I understand what you're saying. I understand the issue. I look around myself in my space here, my perch as an analyst or a portfolio manager, and I don't know what I can do. Mm-hmm. What can I do?
I would say be a mentor. So be a mentor. Like you're saying, donate where you can to certain causes, because there's a lot of causes that need funding and things along those natures. But being an advocate and being a mentor for people who are different than you or look different than you, or that needs help or struggling, be that advocate for them, because sometimes people don't know how to, like me, I don't know how to ask for help all the time, but I know I need help sometime, and just making sure it's just not about you. And then just helping where you can, and that goes a long way, because there's a lot of people out there that have a lot to contribute, but they just need someone to see them.
Right. I'd like to drill down into that a little bit, because you said a couple things there, and I think that one of the things that's difficult for sometimes members who are looking to be helpful, they hear the word advocate and don't really know what that means. And it can be, in my experience, quite simple. Sometimes it's just when you're on one of these big Zoom calls, understanding that some of the people on there have been told directly and subconsciously over time to not speak. Mm-hmm. Sometimes just making a place for them to speak and say, hey, do you have any thoughts on this? Mm-hmm. In a way that, you might think sometimes is like you're putting them on the spot, is more often like you're giving them a spot. Mm-hmm. Are there other simple things like that? Are there other ways you would break some of those things down?
Exactly. Because look at the introverts of the world, where they have a lot to offer and a lot to give, but they're scared to say it, or they're not as comfortable. So someone who's an extrovert, kind of like myself, you put them on the spot, but you also is their mouthpiece for them. And also highlighting them. You're right. Highlighting them and letting people know that they're in the room, they're on the call, and they're skilled in this particular area. So if you need something, here's their contact information, and just putting them out there from you, because sometimes it carries more weight from someone who a little bit more experienced or a higher position. It carries more weight, and just knowing that you have that power to represent 5-10 people, that's powerful, and where they can't do it themselves. And you're right, some people are not supposed to talk, some people don't know what to say, so someone with a senior position should also recognize that and know what they need to do to say on their behalf. And that's a true advocate. And most of the time it's going to be someone that's younger or doesn't look like you, different gender, nationality, or whatever. Yeah. And so just knowing that you have that power and you can make a difference.
Yeah, I like to use the word people for that. Mm-hmm. All those things are people.
Exactly.
Great. So, thank you for being here, Genai. This is wonderful. It's a great podcast, a little bit different from our other ones, but also a much more accomplished individual than most. So thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me. I love to come back anytime. It's nothing like seeing someone different. Yeah. And so there's a lot of people different in this world.
Right. And thank you all for listening to this podcast by CFA Society New York. If you would like to learn more about our diversity and inclusion efforts, please visit our website at cfany.org. Until next time, I'm your host, Rob Rowan.